In the early 2000s, World War II games seemed to be all over the market. The Medal of Honor series was consistently putting out titles, then the Call of Duty series began to match their pacing in 2003 with their own World War II titles to show the horrors of war from different factions' perspectives. A little first-person shooter from an indie studio would be released in 2001, and it popularized the gamepad as we know it today, but that is a game that deserves its own video. I remember when I was a kid at the time, there almost seemed to be a fatigue around the World War II genre of first-person shooters, and I wanted something different. Other games would scratch the surface of a modern shooter, but in 2007, a game would be released by Infinity Ward that would change the entire landscape of gaming as we know it, and go toe-to-toe with Halo and have a legacy that has permeated the entire landscape of gaming as we know it today. So what made Call of Duty 4 Modern Warfare so great? The Call of Duty series had previously released a trio of games set in World War II. The team wanted to move away from the World War II setting. For over 2 years, a team of over 100 people began development on Modern Warfare. They wanted to avoid real-life conflict being a part of the narrative structure for the game, so they opted for having two sides of similar strength face off against each other. The team attended a live-fire exercise at Marine Corps Air-Ground Combat Center 29 Palms to add to the realism of the game. They also spoke with vets who had seen action to gauge their emotions and attitude in combat. They also had vets assist in motion capture sessions, and when they developed the artificial intelligence for the game. The multiplayer was balanced and rewarding. It's the Call of Duty game that started kill streaks. Most map designs were built for team deathmatch layouts. The game ran on the IW 3.0 engine. This engine was used for two other Activision games, and the upcoming Modern Warfare 2 remake will run on the IW 9.0 engine. The IW 3.0 engine featured HDR lighting effects, dynamic shadows, and depth of field. It would help incorporate bullet penetration so you can shoot through certain surfaces and add destructible environments. Spawn points were coded in to minimize death on spawn by determining nearby weapons and basing it on enemy positions and line of sight. Man, Call of Duty trying and being inspired was a hell of a thing. Modern Warfare would hit shelves on November 5th, 2007.
What the hell kind of name is Soap, eh?
The game starts off on a mission briefing between Gaz and Captain Price, and I love how ironically they speak. The world's in great shape. A civil war just broke out in Russia, and nuclear warheads are at stake. And that's the good news. You can tell that Gaz and Captain Price are vets, and it would take a lot to phase them.
And the bad news?
We've got a new guy joining us today. Fresh out of selection.
They are more worried about a new guy joining than the stake of the world. It's implied ironically, but you can tell there's a bit of truth to it. You don't know if the new guy will be able to keep up. Soap MacTavish is the main character you play as for the SAS. I want to give a brief summary of SAS training to put into context how elite this military special forces unit is. They are one of the top military units in the world, and many other countries mimic their training process. It is one of the toughest special forces units to become a part of. Special Air Service has 7 training phases. The first is Endurance. This phase takes several weeks. It tests your mental toughness as well as your physical toughness. Cadets are constantly tested while being starved and sleep deprived. After this phase, 30 to 40 will remain from the initial 200. The next phase is Jungle Training. They are taught jungle survival skills and how to operate behind enemy lines. In this phase, trainees are also outfitted with SAS gear to practice with on the firing range. They are also trained in different types of weaponry across the globe. This phase ends in an escape and evasion course. Those left will have to evade being captured by a hunter force outfitted with modern equipment. Following this is an interrogation phase, which is designed to mentally break those who are left. If you complete training, then welcome to the 22nd Special Air Service. The SAS specializes in surveillance, counterterrorism, and spec ops. The SAS has a good relationship with US forces, so being partnered with the US in the game's story makes sense. Again, this is a very brief overlay of what it takes to become a part of the Special Air Service and to put them in context for the campaign. Soap is the new guy. You start off in a base in the UK for a combat tutorial for the game, and Gaz gives you the single most important piece of advice in gaming history.
Now switch to your rifle. Now pull out your sidearm. Remember, switching to your pistol is always faster than reloading.
Then you are introduced to Captain Price. He comes off unimpressed by Soap and even calls him a muppet. He comes off very much like a stern military man. After completing the CQB course, you are off on your first mission, Crew Expendable. The title for this mission is perfect and encapsulates what Call of Duty went for back in the day, showing what war is like. It isn't grand or to be glorified. You are another set of boots on the ground. The intel for the mission was supplied by a Russian informant, Nikolai. Russia is split between its government and the ultra-nationalists. You are dropped on a cargo ship in the Bering Strait for a stealth op. You move through the ship swiftly and see firsthand how well your group operates. You can feel the intensity of being behind enemy lines on a covert operation. Little moments like these are so fun. You see the personality of soldiers in combat.
I'll undertake this for close encounters.
It's pretty intense seeing a helicopter put into scale. These guys had no idea you were coming. You come across a nuclear device labeled in Arabic and begin to make your way off the ship. Enemy aircraft is inbound and Captain Price will save Soap twice on his first day.
This is Bravo 6, we're on our way out! On your feet, soldier! We are leaving!
The ship is being torn to shreds by aircraft as you make your way out. Talk about your first day on the new job. The game does a great job of making the situation feel intense and hellacious. Then, Soap jumps for it. Captain Price cares for his men and would never leave one behind. The game shows you the type of leader he is at the start of the game. This theme will play a part on day 2. A separatist group led by Khalid al-Assad holds anti-Western views and seized power of the country. They captured the president. The view changes to his perspective as you go through the war-torn country. A speech by al-Assad is played throughout most of the mission. You are in the arena for a public execution. Imran Zakhaev is the ultra-nationalist leader for the Russians, and he is there with al-Assad. There is so much tension going on here. Al-Assad stopped for a moment as Zakhaev handed him the weapon. Al-Faloni is executed on live television. From a storytelling perspective, it is a brilliant idea to have the player go through these events as they happen because it helps shape the events and the world of the game seamlessly. The player knows what is happening and why because you are shown and not told. The US will begin an invasion to go after al-Assad. Captain Price and his squad are going on a mission behind enemy lines in Russia to rescue their informant from the cargo ship operation.
Nikolai's in hell right now. We're gonna walk him out. We take care of our friends.
Price never leaves his men behind. It's so cool how you drop down from the satellite briefing right into the mission. The pacing is great and not a moment is wasted. Blackout, Day 2. Some people have had theories about Blackout being inspiration for Clean House and Modern Warfare 2019. You can see why. At night, suppressed, constantly looking through the lens of your night vision goggles, roaming through houses. You meet up with Sergeant Kamarov and the Russian loyalists to rescue Nikolai from the ultra-nationalist camp. There is good character interaction here.
Not so fast. Remember Beirut? You're with us.
This lets the player know quickly and subtly that Price and Kamarov have worked together before. The squad helps the loyalists fight off the ultra-nationalists. They grow impatient as Kamarov will not give them Nikolai's location. Gaz takes matters into his own hands.
Where is the informant?
Что ты делаешь? Что с ума сошел?
Where
Что ты
is he?
делаешь? The house! The house of the northeast end of the village!
Well, that wasn't so hard, was it? Now go and sit in the corner.
You have got to love Gaz. No nonsense with him. You and Gaz are Price's go-to men. There is something so gripping about a night operation and all the highlighted laser sights and burning buildings. It really immerses you in the game and the battle. You make your way to the helicopter at the LZ with Nikolai.
The Americans are making mistakes. They will never take al-Assad alive.
Foreshadowing when it's done well has to be one of my favorite literary devices. Spoiler alert for later in the game. You ready? Okay. After Nikolai says this, you might think US forces won't be able to take al-Assad because it'd be too difficult of a task. They end up setting off a nuclear bomb. You already know that nukes will be a threat from the start of the game. You are introduced to Zakhaev and his son when you play as Al-Falani. These are small elements that are hinted early that shape the world within modern warfare. You switch from playing as the SAS to the USMC as the Americans go after al-Assad. The USMC engages ground forces while SEAL Team 6 goes after the presidential palace. The USMC is the largest and oldest service in the US military. They are used for amphibious combat and ground forces for contingency and combat operations. The Marines fight their way through the city looking for al-Assad and work their way towards a TV station where they believe he is giving a speech. The speech he was giving is recorded. This game does a great job of capturing the essence of soldiers' personalities in combat.
He's not here.
It's on a loop. Broadcast is recorded.
Score 1 for military intelligence. Hoorah.
Roger that, Command. Out.
US forces continue to push their way into the capital city searching for al-Assad. The next phase you will play in is to secure a tank. Call sign Warpig. Fighting your way to the tank shows what kind of destruction war brings to a city. It's strong imagery and part of what made the Call of Duty series so great. They were bold and took risks while providing a fun gameplay experience. Once you get to the Warpig, flares and gunfire is mostly what lights up the nighttime sky. The atmosphere is intense and chilling. After securing the tank, air support comes in, and the engineers are on their way. After you complete the mission, there's a sense of victory. Then the music changes to a darker tone. Meanwhile, Soap and the squad are in a helicopter and get shot down. They radio in for AC-130 support, and towards the end of the mission, the Warhammer arrives for support. The AC-130 is called the Angel of Death. They are one of the most heavily armed planes on the planet, and you just saw what it is capable of from the ground. Then the next mission puts you in the gunner seat for Death from Above. This is more of an escort mission, and you provide air support to the squad on the ground. There is something about your view being black and white that makes me think of a Breaking Benjamin song called Unknown Soldier. The chorus is "Show me what it's like to dream in black and white." If you have never been in a war, you can only imagine what those who have served had to see. You can tell from the comm chatter on the AC-130 that it's any other day, and just listen to the sound that the 105mm makes when you fire it.
Good kill, good kill. Guy running, you got him.
The USMC is closing in on Al-Assad, and it is all hands on deck for this one. You go into Sergeant Jackson to soften resistance for the ground assault. The threat of the nuke going off has been known for the whole invasion. After this, a friendly chopper is shot down, and your squad goes to rescue the pilot. You have to love how they never leave anyone behind despite what the odds are.
Outlaw, this is command. We have a probable...
Damn it, Raven. The remaster looks great, but it doesn't always run that well. Back to the mission, you rescue the pilot and head east. Then one of the most intense moments in all of Call of Duty happens.
Everyone, hang on!
It's terrifying to witness a nuclear bomb going off and the devastation they bring along with nuclear fallout. There is a doctrine of military strategy called mutual assured destruction. It's based off of the theory of rational deterrence. This theory is two sides nuking each other to the point of annihilation. The mission has you walk through the fallout and buildings collapse all around you. You see the mushroom cloud, then the mission ends with the death of Sergeant Jackson. I view this part of the story as a cautionary tale and a chilling reminder of our history. If you do a Google search for Grazed by the Apocalypse, more nuclear devices have almost gone off. A tale of what could come from mutual assured destruction. A reminder of Nagasaki, Hiroshima, and Chernobyl. Call of Duty got people interested in history and what their games drew inspiration from. I remember as a kid I would constantly replay Aftermath hoping there was some way I could get Sergeant Jackson to survive the mission. You see all the soldiers lost from the nuke in a briefing, all the devastation from the push of a single button.
The man is a coward, Captain Price. Al-Assad would never sacrifice himself.
The SAS go after Al-Assad following the nuclear bomb, and Nikolai knows the locations of a safe house that he used before. Day 4 for Soap. The ultra-nationalists are providing support for Al-Assad. One fun thing on this mission is that you get to call in air support. I like how they incorporated elements like this, adding more tools to your disposal that you have to use strategically. At the safe house, Captain Price detains Al-Assad, and you see how brutal he is and willing to get the job done.
Why'd you do it? Where did you get the bomb? Who then?
Interesting choice going with a black screen and hearing the sound of the interrogation. It leaves things up to your imagination a bit. Price wants the name of who gave him the bomb. Then a phone call comes in.
Who was that, sir?
Zakhaev.
Imran Zakhaev supplied the bomb. He was thought to be dead in the public eye. You do see him at the start of the game. Now you really learn his role in the story, and this next mission takes place 15 years earlier on one of the most famous Call of Duty missions, All Gillied Up. Pripyat is a town near Chernobyl, and people would try to get what nuclear material they could from the area. Price was sent on an assassination mission with Captain McMillan. All Gillied Up is so different from a lot of Call of Duty missions. It prioritizes stealth and finding non-confrontational ways to get around enemies and avoid being spotted. It is your choice to take down targets or let them pass. When you get to the field where soldiers and tanks pass you by, it's an anxious feeling as you don't want to get spotted, and you maneuver around the paths of soldiers and the tanks. Then working your way around the camp full of soldiers and trucks avoiding suspicion keeps you on edge. Crawling under vehicles for cover and making a sprint forward to get to your objective is a fun and intense way of switching up gameplay. My brother and I love games that favor tactics, and that's what you get on this mission. Walking through the decayed and gray city is another way of showing nuclear fallout and the long-lasting devastation. Some areas you walk through, you can hear the laughter from children playing. It adds to the haunting and dreary tone of this mission. Then every COD fan remembers this quote from Captain McMillan.
Look at this place. 50,000 people used to live in the city. Now it's a ghost town.
The Ferris wheel you see on the briefing is a real-life location, the Pripyat Amusement Park. You can actually visit this park. To this day, there is still radiation at the park with varying levels. The amusement park was opened and closed on the same day, April 27th, 1986. When you grab the sniper, Price's breathing becomes more intense and he looks at the picture of his target, Imran Zakhaev. It's nice attention to detail as this is a stressful operation. The chatter from Macmillan is very engaging.
Remember what I taught you. Keep in mind variable humidity and wind speed along the bullet's flight path. At this distance, you'll also have to take the Coriolis effect into account.
These are real-life conditions snipers have to deal with, and that is what makes being a sniper so difficult. There are so many factors to take in consideration before taking a shot. When you take the shot, on the bullet trail you see how it moves after you fire the sniper. There is so much detail put into this mission. It makes for an immersive experience. Then the getaway begins as you and Macmillan make your way to the extraction point with an army coming after you. During the getaway, Price and Macmillan shoot down a helicopter. Captain Macmillan knows that a badass never stares at the explosion, but this case would be the exception to the rule. The helicopter lands on Macmillan and injures his leg. For the rest of the mission, you have to carry him around and find strategic lanes to set him down so you can move around freely, and he'll give you covering fire. You finish the mission in the amusement park as you await a friendly helo for rescue. There is strategy involved as you await the helo. You set up claymores, position Macmillan, and find a good sniping spot for yourself as waves of enemies continuously attack you. Once rescue arrives, you pick up Macmillan and board the helo. This mission adds more depth to Price's character. He feels responsible for the state of the world for not killing Zakhaev. The shot only blew his arm off and he was able to survive. He feels the burden of the civil war in Russia and the nuclear attack in the Middle East. The next mission, Heat, is a nice contrast to All Gillied Up. The setting is similar to the end of All Gillied Up, as you hold out until evac arrives, but it is much more explosive.
3 on the move. 3 here. 2's in the hell. There's a lot of helis in it. So, fall back to the cover and man the detonate.
In the briefing, Price wants to know if anyone has any questions.
Any questions? Let's do this.
Sir, that is not a question. The defensive perimeters are set and you work your way to the top of the hill waiting for evac. Getting to use the minigun and setting off all the explosions is so much fun. When you get to the top of the hill for evac, the chopper is down at the base where you started. Gaz is reasonably pissed and Price does a good job of keeping his men calm.
Forget it, Gaz! We've got to get to the new LZ at the bottom of the hill, now!
You get to call in more airstrikes on the way down, and I do like the addition of a timer in the missions throughout the game. It adds more of a sense of urgency to situations in which they are placed. The helo arrives and Griggs is with them. The USMC and SAS begin a joint operation for the rest of the game, and their first mission in the joint op is to go after Zakhaev's son. Zakhaev is the one who is responsible for the nuke. Capturing his son will draw Zakhaev out. The Sins of Our Fathers tells us a lot about Captain Price.
Get on that dumpster.
Man, Captain Price must love trash.
Trash. Yeah, I love trash. Yum, yum, trash.
Hell yeah, I love that little guy.
The squad sets up a trap and dresses in Russian uniforms to capture Zakhaev's son alive. You chase after him as he begins to flee. One thing I noticed about the Russian soldiers on my playthrough is that some of them may be force sensitive. Like, look at this guy. Just floating up and down a few stories without any issue. Definitely suspicious. On the rooftop, Soap goes to disarm Zakhaev's son, and he takes his own life. The situation begins to feel very desperate, but Price knows a good deal about Zakhaev. Zakhaev is sent into a frenzy and he threatens all-out nuclear warfare unless troops are pulled out of Russia. The USMC and SAS have to capture the nuclear launch facility to avoid more bombs going off. Griggs doesn't drop at the same location and the squad goes to rescue him. They still manage to keep the mood pretty light.
About damn time. I was starting to think you guys were gonna leave me behind.
That was my first thought, but your ass had all the C4.
After taking down the tower to drop the electrical grid, Gaz shows off his athleticism. At the end of the mission, you meet up with an American sniper team. Then you witness the nuclear warheads being launched. The clock is ticking to take the nuclear launch facility. The nukes are aimed at the eastern seaboard of the United States, and you see how many lives could be lost if you fail in taking the facility. It's an extremely urgent situation with so many lives at stake, and Command works to get the abort codes from the Russians. The game goes all out here in this final act. There are tanks littered throughout the facility. You have multiple ways of approaching them. You can pick up an RPG or use a smoke screen so you can plant C4 on them. A timer is added as you make your way to the control room. Once you arrive at the hazard control door, there's a nice moment of character interaction.
Guys, can't you make it open faster?
Negative, sir. But you can try pulling it if it makes you feel better. Cheeky bastard.
Even in a very stressful situation, they are able to keep a lighthearted mood and squad morale high. There is a huge sense of accomplishment taking back the war room and entering the abort codes.
Please, a beer should be ice cold.
A lager maybe, or a glass of water like you drink, and a pint of stout.
I'm gonna have to school y'all both when we get back stateside.
Yeah, well, either way, we're stopping in London first. And I'm buying.
I love the addition of this conversation. They're normal people doing their jobs, and they've been in the pressure cooker for a while. It only makes the ending hurt so much more. Fighting on the highway is insanity. Shooting at trucks to get them off your back, picking up RPGs and firing at a chopper. If you could car hop like you do in Uncharted 2, this would be a breeze. Then it culminates in the bridge being blown up from the helicopter. It's a dire situation yet again. There's no guarantee of air support, and you're left on your own for the meantime. Then you hear the welcome voice of Sergeant Kamarov, and support will be on the way. Another chopper hits the bridge. All you can do at this point is watch. Griggs comes by and he's gunned down trying to get Soap to safety. Price is in bad shape. Then Zakhaev comes. Then Price puts his full trust in Soap, the new guy, the Muppet, to finish things off. This is huge considering the guilt he harbors for not killing Zakhaev all those years ago. An intense and brutal 6 days have come to an end. The world is safe from a nuclear threat and Zakhaev has been killed. If you look in the corner at Price, he looks to be in rough condition. But we'll touch on that later. The ending newscast shows how many operations that happen that just get covered in black ink to avoid a public scare. The nukes were a standard test, the ultranationalists are having a power struggle, and the search for the ship in the Bering Strait has ended. When classified documents see the light of day, it is a long time after, so they are well separated from the events that took place. The credits for this game are so beautifully 2007. It's Sergeant Griggs rapping, and they talk a little bit about the development cycle of the game. Then you get thrown into Mile High Club and rescue a VIP on the plane. It's such a fun mission. There's quite a bit of cut content from this game, but damn, the finished product is so fun. After the story conclusion, we will get into the multiplayer and other things regarding COD 4. Call of Duty 4 Modern Warfare is personally my favorite Call of Duty game out of the entire series. It did the best job at gameplay meeting realism in the story, and the story in this game is more grounded compared to other COD games in the Modern Warfare series. The other games had a bit more of over-the-top action movie feel to it. This game did have some of that, but it was more subdued in some aspects. It is paced incredibly well and you're never taken out of the experience. The story had more of an approach of the war and setting as the priority as opposed to being character focused, and I love that about this game. You still get memorable characters. It looked as if Price was supposed to die here, but he ended up being in the rest of the Modern Warfare series. Everything felt urgent and fun. You insert yourself in Soap's shoes when the world is crumbling. You get attached to Soap, Price, Gaz, and Griggs, while feeling like an integral part of the squad. Shock and Awe and Aftermath are crazy and intense missions that Call of Duty was bold enough to put in the game and execute them and not pull punches with showing the horrors of war. All Gillied Up is also one of the most memorable missions in the franchise's history. And speaking of history, this game got me interested in learning quite a lot. I wanted to learn more about military factions you play as and real life locations that you visit in the game. It's an easy 10 out of 10 for me, and the 2019 Modern Warfare reboot looked at this game and what made it so successful, and there were some very shocking moments in Modern Warfare 2019. Now the second installment of that series will be coming out soon. Now let's get into this revolutionary multiplayer. The multiplayer in this game set the standard for COD multiplayer as we know it today. The create a class system, leveling up to unlock new weapons and perks, and one multiplayer trophy gamers would hold high: Prestige. This was the beginning of the kill streak system, but in this game everyone had the same streaks. It was very balanced and the map designs were incredible. There were always multiple routes you can approach a situation from. When I said this was my favorite game in the series, it is definitely considering the whole package. I love the multiplayer in this game. Even when new COD games came out, I always found myself coming back to this one. Part of the reason I went with the Raven remaster was because they redid the multiplayer as well. I was aware of the loot controversy, but I thought I'd be able to find a game. Come on, find a game already. I ended up buying the original version of this game, and there are still active multiplayer servers from the fan base. It is so awesome to see people preserving the original. I had a laugh going through the perk system to find eavesdrop. In concept, it's a good idea, but this is really more of what you'll hear from enemy comms.
Really bad one. We don't talk about that one. Tristan, what's going on, dude? It's family time.
It's like the cheese on a pizza.
That's why they're called frying pan. Damn, dude, I hate this map.
Did anyone ever use this perk? If you did, let us know. And what did you hear? Before its release, there were predictions it would outsell Halo 3. You know, the game series that broke about every record imaginable. It did have the strength of not being a console exclusive going for it. Modern Warfare became the highest selling game in the United States from November 2007 to January 2008, according to the NPD Group. By January of 2008, sales surpassed 7 million worldwide and was the best-selling game of that year. By 2008, it surpassed 10 million units. Skipping to 2013, 6 years after release, the game sold about 15.7 million copies. It received awards for the best graphics, best PS3 game of 2007, and was number 3 on the top 10 FPS games ever list. This game was critically acclaimed and received an absurd amount of awards, deservingly so. The COD series would keep going with the yearly release schedule and make an ungodly amount of money in the process. Eventually, Activision's greed would catch up with them as they caught up with the Halo timeline, and seemed to forget that they became the trendsetters in the FPS genre. Call of Duty has been going back to its roots after seeing the Modern Warfare and Black Ops series revived. Hopefully good things are to come now that they have been acquired by Microsoft. That's the Two Average Brothers take on Call of Duty 4 Modern Warfare. If there are any games you want to see covered on the What Made a Great series, drop it in the comments. As always, you can send us an email to twoaveragebrothers@gmail.com for any suggestions, or to kick back and game with us. Lately, my brother and I have been having so much fun playing Halo custom games on the MCC. We will be getting to work on our 1K special for what made Star Wars Battlefront 2 so great. Thanks for watching. Peace!